Welcome to Coffee and Conversation for ESL Listening. I'm Donielle.
And I'm Khrystyna. So grab a cup and join the conversation.
Hello. Nice to see you. As always, I know.
Yes, nice to see you too. It's been a while. I feel like we might have forgotten what we look like to each other.
I know. Actually, that's what I said to you when I got on the video with you. And I was like, who are you? Because it's been so long. And yeah, but we are back, baby.
Yes, absolutely. Yes.
Lots going on. It's tax day, April 15th.
All right.
Big day.
Yes,
Yeah.
tax day today. You're right. Woohoo.
Yeah. Fortunately, I had to take care of that earlier. I was kind of forced into resolving all that stuff earlier because I have to send my stuff off to an accountant, but still last minute actual filing today, it's always
really?
fun. And then let's not forget giving the money to the government, which that's no fun.
Right. Yeah. Well, we usually like to take care of it pretty quickly. Like as soon as we get all of the forms from work and all that stuff. So,
Yeah, well, you're a lot more organized than I am, as you know.
yeah. Well, no.
Oh, yeah.
I think it's my husband. Like he usually wants to get it done fast. Like, okay,
Yeah.
let's get this filed so we don't have to wait and then see what's going on after that. But
Yeah, that's good. Somebody in the relationship should be, you know what I'm saying? We've talked about this before. Like, it's really good when you've got a couple and maybe one person is not too worried about stuff and kind of take it easy. And the other one's like, no, we got to do this. And somewhere in the middle, you organize your
they're gonna
life.
meet. Yeah. Which is interesting because if you're talking about that, like I am the person number one and he is the the person number two. He's usually the relaxed one, and I'm kind of like, I have to plan these things. We need to know what we're doing. Like everything organized and all that. But somehow with the taxes, he's the one who always wants to get it done faster. I'm like, that's fine.
Yeah, well, that's good.
I'll let you think that you're in charge.
Oh, yeah. I'd be so happy to pass off all of that stuff, but unfortunately, I get stuck with a lot of it. Anyway, we had spring break recently. Did you do anything fun?
We went just on a quick little trip to forest area, like national park area, and kind of had a little cabin, stayed there for a few days to, get away from everything, to, as they call it, unplug.
Oh, yeah. Unplugging is so important. It's too easy when you're at home and you're in your everyday routine. You pick up the phone and what's going on? And it's like, no, it's so nice just to put it away. Maybe not even have a signal. That's even better.
Right. Yeah.
It's a good feeling.
So it's nice. It was nice. But what about you? Did you go anywhere? Or
no, I was at home. I had some guests hanging out here. We were in the pool a little bit. It's a little bit warm, so that was nice. Just relaxed. Yeah.
That's good.
It's always good. Okay, well, today we have a topic. It's a little bit different for us, I think. We're going to be doing a little bit of nostalgia.
Yeah, it's a good vocabulary word there.
Yeah, nostalgia. Sometimes as you get older, sometimes you think about when you were a kid and different things that you did and just what life was like and how different it is,
Yeah.
And so we started thinking it'd be fun to talk about our childhood memories.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah. So just because we are who we are, I would like to start talking about food memories from our childhood. What do you think of that?
Yeah, we always have to start with the food. There's always room for food.
Always. It wouldn't be us. It would not be us.
Yeah.
Definitely. So what would you say when you were a kid? I mean, obviously it's going to be very different than when I was a kid because you lived in a completely different place. But did you have like a typical sort of dinner that you would eat maybe regularly with your family?
Yeah. So, knowing where I'm from, right? My
Where
culture. Where am I from? You know that very often there was potatoes involved.
Okay.
Definitely. And bread.
Starch. Carbs.
Oh, yeah.
Love them.
Oh, absolutely. Yes. But meat,
Eh,
There had to be
not so
meat
much.
and vegetables. And so I would say like typical dinner. Again, my parents, especially my mom, cooked all time. I'm trying to remember like how many times in my life as I was growing up we actually went out.
Yeah.
And I think I have more fingers on one hand.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's always home cooked meals. Sometimes leftovers. So that, of course, that happened too. Sometimes it's just sandwiches for dinner. But because in my culture, the big meal is lunch,
Mm.
right? So usually dinner is kind of a lighter fare, but lunch where you would always have soup,
Okay.
some sort of a soup, like different types of soup. And then you would have a second course. And that would usually involve either potatoes, some sort of a meat, either chicken or beef or whatever, and vegetable. And then the funny thing about that is until I moved to the United States, having a fresh vegetable in winter when it's not in season is usually not the case. That's why during early fall or summer, we would pickle and can a lot of stuff and marinate and can. So
Oh,
then in
nice.
winter, when there is no fresh vegetables, my parents would open up a jar of pickles or a jar of pickled vegetables or marinated vegetables, some sort of salad that you can and all that.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
So that was always a staple. Like you always had to have that. But in the summer, it was definitely we would have fresh vegetables with our lunch or even like with sandwich, sometimes some sort of fresh veggie salad or something like that. And the other interesting thing, when we would have holidays or we would have guests over for a birthday party or whatever, just gathering visits, you would have, like in the United States, when you say salad, when you serve
Okay.
salad, it's usually lettuce, veggies, other toppings, and all that, and different dressing. In Ukraine, when you say salad, think in terms of like potato salad,
Okay. Yeah.
right? So it's usually heavier. Like you would have vegetable salads, but they usually would have either mayo or sour cream or like oil and vinegar, depends on the salad. But I felt like it's always been like one of the unique things about Ukrainian cuisine. Like the salads are not your typical salads with lettuce. Like you would have salads that would have meat in it and some maybe beans and maybe little potatoes and onions, but then you would have it like with mayonnaise, or you would have some chicken and chunks of cheese and peppers and something, then mayonnaise. Or we would use a lot of root vegetables, so like potatoes and beets and carrots, stuff like that.
Yeah. So it
So
was more hearty. It's almost
mhm,
like a meal by itself.
you would say so. But the thing is, when we would have like parties, and I remember when I was a kid, like my extended family would visit or friends, you would have these different salads, right? As kind of like an appetizer type thing. And
Okay.
then there would be a main course coming in, which usually would be like either some sort of meat and then either potatoes or noodles or some sort of a grain, like a rice or buckwheat or something like that. And then dessert after that, obviously.
Of
Dessert.
course. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the best part. Oh.
Yeah. I
So,
like the sound of all that. And especially you said like you get all different salads, like
mhm,
several types of
mhm.
salads, and you just have a little bit of each, right?
Yeah, it would always be like I remember when we would have guests over, it's always family style. So we would just have a table with all of that stuff. And then you just take a little bit and then you pass it around or whatever, So it has always been family style. Like that's
Yeah,
how I
that's
grew
good.
up. Yeah.
Oh, well, that sounds good.
What
I
about
like,
you?
I wouldn't say that we really had a typical sort of traditional, usual dinner or something like that. My dad was the cook in the family, and he was not just the cook, he loved to cook. And it was his passion to make unusual things, at least unusual for us. He had a giant library in the house, like one room full of cookbooks
Oh my
for,
gosh.
yeah, for all different kinds of cuisine. I mean, he just loved everything. And so he would try all kinds of different stuff. And, sometimes when you're a kid, you're just like, oh, slow down there. I mean, what are you doing here with all this wild stuff? It's like too much for a kid, you know?
Wow.
And he used to get into these little phases where he would make like kimchi. Korean salad kind of thing. Yeah, he made that for a while from scratch. And then he did another thing where he was sprouting his own bean sprouts.
Mm-hmm.
And that went on for a while. And in fact, he made a pizza once and he made it from scratch,
Mm-hmm.
nice, big, thick crust, which I like, and lots of toppings on it. And he threw some bean sprouts on that pizza. And I was so upset. I was so horrified. I was like, what is this? And I remember years later, I kind of roasted him a little bit about it. I was like, yeah, I remember that time you made a pizza with bean sprouts on it. And he's like, I don't think I did that. I'm like, yeah, you did.
Oh, he was trying to
Trust me.
deny his crimes.
It's crimes. Yeah, I know. I'm like, trust me, I am still traumatized.
Oh my gosh. Oh, jeez. Well, we had a garden too, like a vegetable garden, because my parents had a little cabin outside of town, but it had quite a bit of land there. So there was plenty of room for garden. And the funny thing is, most of it was potatoes, right? You grow
Sounds good.
potatoes. But then we also had like this spot where we could grow some cucumbers and tomatoes and cabbage and corn and all that. So I remember you always tried to get fresh veggies. But the thing is that because the season was so short for that, right? So you
Yeah.
try to load up and eat as much as you can of that. But the other thing is that I don't ever remember when I was a kid not liking fresh vegetables.
That's good.
When we were kids, sometimes we would have like sandwich and then my mom would chop up some wedges of tomato and some radishes and some cucumbers or peppers and we just eat it like crunch, right? Munch on it.
Oh, yeah.
Just fresh. I don't think I've ever met anyone when I was a kid that did not like that. Like that was just, you just eat that, right? And we looked forward to it. Ooh, fresh tomatoes and fresh cucumbers.
Yeah.
I cannot get my child to even touch a fresh tomato or a cucumber.
Yeah. Kids here, they're not really into that. I will say I did like fresh vegetables. I remember I had this weird thing. Now that you're talking about that, I just remembered when I was a kid, I went through this phase where I would just pull out pieces of lettuce from the fridge and just like suck on the lettuce.
Yes.
Did
So
you do
I,
that?
no, but I have
Oh,
the funny,
no.
no, but I have something similar.
Okay.
Well, I used to wake up at night and sneak pickles out of the fridge, but
Okay.
love them. But I have a kind of similar story. Very early on, like before I went to kindergarten, right? We lived in this big 2-story house that my grandpa built with my grandma and my aunt downstairs. And then our family lived upstairs and we had a kitchen and all that. So every fall, there was this big production. My mom and my dad, and then my aunt and her husband, they would buy these huge burlap sacks full of cabbage heads.
Oh my
And
gosh.
they would have this huge shredder and they would shred the cabbage and carrots and onions and make sauerkraut, right? But they would put spices. And I remember we had this huge oak barrel in the basement where we would keep all that stuff. And that cabbage would ferment there, to make sauerkraut. But it was like a big thing, right? It takes a whole day but we knew when those burlap sacks of cabbage were delivered. And I remember this one year, my brother and my little cousin and I got into that little shed where they kept the cabbage. And we ate a whole head of cabbage, leaf by leaf,
Oh
between
my
three of
gosh.
us, just like a snack.
Like
And
raw.
yes, kind of like, yeah.
Did you get sick to your stomach?
No, we loved it. I mean, it was 3 of us eating the whole right?
Yeah.
So I remember we brought the core from the cabbage to our grandma and said, hey, can you peel this for us and slice it in 3 so we can share it? Because we loved eating the core from the cabbage because it's
Oh my
crunchy and.
gosh. Yeah, yeah.
And my grandma was like, oh, yeah, sure. And then she goes, wait a minute, where did you get this? We're like, well, we found cabbage in the shed.
Found it.
Yeah, we're like, we found cabbage in the shed, so we ate one of the heads. This is such a vivid memory for me. I don't know, but I thought it was so funny because our parents were just flabbergasted. Like, what did you do? Like, you ate a whole head of cabbage just between 3 of you?
It sounds a little weird, I gotta say.
You know what? But those memories are the best.
Yeah. Well, that's the other thing. When you're a kid, you'll eat really weird things. Now you would never think of just munching on a head of raw cabbage, I think. Or no, you
Oh,
you
I
would.
would. Yeah.
You would? Okay. Well, never mind then.
When I shred cabbage for a salad, I'll be like shredding. Then I'm like, oh, this is good. This is good. Shred some more, then throw some more in my mouth.
All right.
I guess I just love cabbage. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, cabbage is okay. I don't know if I love it that much. But what I did do when I was a kid, though, I remember this, and I got this from my grandmother. She did this, and I was like, oh, that sounds interesting. And she would take these onions and slice them really thin, real thin.
Hmm.
And she would get some white bread and put some butter on it or mayonnaise, I don't remember which, and layer those onions on there and put some salt and pepper and make a sandwich just out of onions. And
We did that
I
too.
ate that. Did you?
Oh my gosh.
I,
We
I
did
thought
that too.
I thought nobody did that. Looking back, I'm like, that's really weird, but I totally chowed down on that thing.
I
So
remember.
funny.
Yes, we would have sometimes like same thing. My mom would do that. She would slice onions really like fresh onion really thin and then kind of crunch it up with some salt and pepper. And
Yeah.
then would take a slice of bread with butter and then put those onions on top. And it was delicious.
Yeah. Oh,
Like
yeah, absolutely.
I remember it was so good.
Yeah. I've
But
always loved onions. So,
yeah,
yeah, but I thought that was just a
yeah.
weird thing my grandmother did, but that's weird. Well, we've managed to take over a
Oh,
lot of time talking about food. So I think probably we need to move on to another topic. What do you
that
think?
sounds good. Yeah.
Okay, so we covered the food. How about talking about homes? What was your home like when you grew up? Like the house? What was the
Hmm.
house itself like?
So, like I mentioned, when I was really little, we lived at the house that my grandpa built. And we lived on the second floor and we had, I want to say, like two large rooms and a very small kitchen. But still, it's the second floor. So we would go down to my grandma and play with cousin. And the funny thing about Ukrainian homes, if it's a house, you know how in the United States, usually the fence is for the backyard.
Yes.
In Ukraine, the fence is for the whole yard,
Okay. Yeah,
like
actually,
front
I know
and
some
back.
places have fence in the front as well, but maybe shorter generally. Yeah.
This would be the whole thing.
Okay.
And sometimes when
You're like, neighbors, get out, stay away.
it's like, yeah, it's like, pretty much. But sometimes when I drive through Chicago area, like suburbs and all that, and you could tell which one is Ukrainian descent
Really?
because they usually have fenced in yards from front to back.
Listen, I don't hate it
Oh,
because I
no.
don't want to be bothered. Everybody leave me alone. I don't want anybody wandering up on my porch, ringing my bell, trying to sell me something or,
Yeah.
whatever. So,
But then after I went to kindergarten, my parents, we moved to an apartment actually, and it was more space. And we had our own thing. So it had like 4 rooms and a big kitchen, hallway, and all that. But it was on the top floor of the building.
yikes.
Actually, it wasn't too bad because we didn't have any neighbors upstairs.
That's good.
So it was kind of nice. And then you get really cool view from there, you know?
Oh, yeah, sure.
So what about you? What was your home like?
Well, that's the thing. I was preparing for this today and thinking about it. I moved around so much when I was a kid. And of the places that I can remember, and I'm sure there may be more when I was really, really young, but until I graduated from high school, I lived in 7 different houses in 3 different states. So I don't have like, oh, this was my childhood home. I don't have anything like that. But there were definitely 2 places that I could talk about that I thought were kind of cool. And one was in Chicago. My parents bought this old bank building. Yes, it was built in 1923. I just had to look this up today too, because I was like, if you Google Chicago Bank Perfection, because there's a clock on there and it's engraved perfection. If you search those 3 words, you will find the not a house, it's a bank. It's literally a bank.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So they bought that and it was so cool. Yeah. I mean, it's this old gray building and like from the times, like I said, 1923, it was built. And there's a vault on the bottom. And my dad made his little workshop because he was also an antique guy. He did lots of strange things. So he had this antique shop on the bottom. And then on the upper level, we made our living space. And it was all just one, like we would call it a loft now, but it was an open space and it was just huge. And back in those days, you'd only have one telephone for the house.
Mm-hmm.
And the telephone was all the way in the front. And if you were in the kitchen, which was the opposite side, the phone would ring and you would start running and maybe make it in time before they hung up.
Trying
It
to
was
answer the
crazy.
phone.
Yeah, it was crazy, but it was a cool. Did you? Yep.
I found it. I had to Google it. I had to look it up.
Yeah.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh, that's
It
so
was
cool.
really cool. Yeah, it was a lot of fun, to be able to say, oh, yeah, I lived in a bank. I mean, it sounds ridiculous. So that was one place that I lived. And I didn't actually live here, but it was so much fun. I have to talk about it. In the summers, I would spend with my grandparents in Tennessee and Memphis. They had a big house. I guess at one point it was, again, we have this thing with levels here. The bottom level was where they lived.
Mhm.
And then there were these stairs that would go up internally,
Mhm.
and there were two separate units. Like they were old-timey apartments.
Yeah.
So when I would come to visit, I would get to stay in one of the apartments. And it was all decked out in 1950s, 1960s decor. They never changed it,
That's so
you
cool.
know? And there was this black and white TV they had, and you would turn it on, and there was like this little glowy lamp thing that would go around the perimeter of the TV,
Yeah.
and that would come on first, and then it would take some time for it to turn on.
Right.
But I was a kid, and I was like, this is my apartment. And I had a kitchen, I had a bathroom, and my friend would come over, and we would just be like, oh, yes, welcome to my apartment, and it was just a lot of fun.
Oh, that's fun. That sounds like a lot of fun. Oh my gosh. That's
Yeah.
really neat. I never realized, like, we've known each other for so long, but I never
I know.
realized that you moved so much
Oh,
when
my
you were a
gosh. Yeah.
child.
That was up until, high school, right? So
Yeah,
I don't
yeah,
even
yeah.
want to count how many places I've lived since then.
Right,
But yeah,
right.
that was crazy when I think about how many places I've
Oh,
lived.
and that's just so opposite from me because we moved from my grandparents' house to apartment, but it was still in the same town.
Yeah,
You just stayed in the same place. You didn't move
right.
around and all that, but yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
My dad was always like kind of looking for something else, something interesting, and he would get bored easily, I think. And so he was like, oh, let's move over here. Or, like, okay. And it was just normal for me. So yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Get
All
used
right.
to it.
Yeah. Okay. So let's talk a little bit about school memories then.
Sounds
Uh,
good.
yeah. Since, I mean, we could talk about this for days, I feel like.
I
So
know.
I guess we'll stick to food, home, and school this
All
time
right.
around.
All right. Sounds good.
So, school memories. What would you say was your favorite and least favorite class
Oh gosh.
or subject in school?
Yeah. So this is a tough one because I told you before, I was a nerd. So I actually
Same.
I liked school. And I think part of it wasn't even just liking the school itself and the subject and learning and all that, but I had a really good class. I had really good friends, and I think I had really good teachers.
No, that's
So
good.
that helped. I feel like I always had good teachers. I mean, there were some, kind of
Yeah,
far
there's always,
few. Yeah. But overall, I feel like I had really good teachers. But I would say, and you're going to laugh at me, actually, English was my favorite subject.
Okay, that makes sense.
And
Same.
I mean, for me, English was different than for you, obviously.
Yeah, exactly.
But I had a really fun teacher.
That
She was
really
kind of,
helps.
and she was kind of eccentric, but she wore so much makeup. It was ridiculous. But she was so much fun, and she had this really funny laugh. But she made things fun, and that's when I realized that learning the language actually wasn't that difficult for me. So I was like, okay, cool. This is, can do this. But yeah, that was my favorite. But also, I liked history. I liked math. I liked Ukrainian language and literature. I love geography. I remember we had a very cool teacher who, when she was younger, before she actually started teaching at our school, went on a lot of expeditions.
Oh,
Like
that's
she
really cool.
traveled and did a lot of stuff. I remember when she told us about this first time when she tried steak meat.
Steak meat.
Snake.
Oh, snake. Ugh.
Yeah, she was somewhere
Ugh.
in one of the African countries on some sort of expedition. And she said, we stopped at this place and they gave us soup. And she said it was delicious. It was really good. And the meat was in there, but they wouldn't tell her. She's like, I kept asking them, what kind of meat is this? And they wouldn't tell her
That's
until
your first
she,
clue that it's gone really wrong.
when she walked out, she saw snake skins are drying out kind of in
Oh,
the sun and in there.
God. I would have died. I would have died. Ugh.
Why do you think I'm telling you this story? Because
Yeah,
it's
I
fun.
know. Ugh, torturing me here.
So, no,
That's
but
awful.
yeah, she was such a fun teacher because she always had stories for us,
Yeah,
about
that
her
is fun.
travels and expeditions. So, like I said, I was a nerd.
So you didn't have a least favorite class.
I don't think so.
Well, good for you.
Yeah, I don't think so. What about
Guess
you?
what my I was like, guess what my least favorite subject was? See if you can guess.
Was it PE?
Yes. For those that don't know, that's gym class, physical education. Yeah. I give that vibe, don't I?
That's so funny.
No, but actually, it's not like I didn't want to move my body. That wasn't like I was so lazy I didn't want to move. No, it's not that. What was bad for me, you have to be, you get a dodgeball or basketball or softball. They'd throw you on some team to do something. They would never explain the rules. They just assumed that you knew. But I'm a nerd. What do I know about softball rules? I have no idea. So I'm just standing around going, well, what do I do? So, of course, other kids, they get so competitive and get so
Oh,
upset,
yeah.
and because I was terrible at that, they didn't want anything to do with me on their team. So I very quickly learned how to get out of PE. Yes. So at least by the time I got to high school anyway, I was like, I got to figure this thing out. And so when I moved to this one school here in Mobile, and I was like, okay, is there anything I can take? I mean, I'll take another science class. What can I do?
Right.
No. This was the first one was at another school. And how I got out of PE then was joining the band.
Oh.
Yeah. So then the next year, I was here in Mobile and I needed to get out of PE and they offered me the band option. But here's the thing, I was just as bad at band as I was at PE. So I was like, you got something else?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and they did. They put me in like this business kind of
Oh,
class
okay.
and I was like, fabulous.
Oh my gosh. So the funny thing is, I remember we all wanted to go to PE class, especially junior high to high school during that period. All the girls wanted to go to PE class because we had a really cute teacher. He was young and fun, and he would let girls get away with murder, just do whatever. But we were all just, but he's so cute.
Oh,
So yeah,
my gosh.
we all loved PE class at that time.
I tell you what, a cute teacher would not have
Would have done
saved
it for you.
PE for me. It just no, not enough.
Oh my gosh, that is so funny.
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh my gosh. Well, it is officially the fastest a half hour has gone by for me. This was a lot of fun
yes.
talking about this. I do want to do a couple quick rapid fire questions
Yeah.
to wrap this up, if you don't mind.
Go for it.
Let's see if you can think of something quick to finish the sentence. If not, that's okay. So, rapid fire question, finish the sentence. Something kids have today that I wish I had growing up would
I'll have
be.
to say like a smartphone.
I know. As much as I hate to say it, it's true. Like, can you imagine like all those long car trips or sitting around at some relative's house and you're bored out of your mind? And if you had a smartphone or an iPad,
Yeah. Yeah. As much as I gripe about nowadays kids
Yes.
on their smartphones all the time, I was like, oh, I wish I had that.
I know, man. But the funny thing is, though, talking about going to like relatives' house or something like that, where it's
Mhm.
super boring, adults talking about
Yeah.
adult things, and my mind would just go and I would just start thinking and daydreaming. And I think being bored is good in some
Oh,
way because you start getting a little creative,
yes. Yeah. I think it's
So there's
actually,
something to say for that.
it's proven that being
Yeah.
bored is actually good for you. Yeah. It's good for your
Yeah.
mind.
Okay. Best
Right.
thing about being a kid was,
Not have to worry about anything. Not have to pay bills. Not have to worry about work.
yeah, right? You didn't even care about the cost of things. You're like, ah,
Ah,
you
you
know?
know what? Well, you know what else? The best thing about being a kid, you didn't have to worry about what to cook for dinner every night.
Oh my gosh. So right. It would just magically appear on the table. Oh, that was a
Oh,
beautiful thing. Uh,
gosh.
Unless it was the bean sprout pizza. Then I'd be like, let me get in there and take care of
Yes.
this. I could do better than this.
Oh my gosh. Ah,
Oh,
yeah,
yeah. I
that
would
was
say
a
summer vacation. Oh my gosh, that
oh,
was wonderful. Going to spend the summers with my grandparents was amazing. Okay, quickly, of course, now the worst thing about being a kid was, what would you
oh,
say?
worst thing about being a kid. You know what? Like having to listen to your parents, not being able to do things you want to do because they're like, nah, you got to be home by this time, or no, you're not going there. There. So I would say, yeah,
A lot of
that.
no, no, no's.
A lot of no's. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
And my parents
Yes,
were pretty strict. So there was a
too.
lot of no's.
Yeah, same. And the other thing I'll have to add to that is they had this ridiculous bedtime thing. They wanted me to go to bed at some weird time. It was like 9:30, like in the middle of a good show. Shows go from 9 to 10. So I could watch half of the show and then I had to go to bed. And if you know me, and I know you do, I am a night owl and I
Yes.
always have been.
Yeah.
So at 9:30 I was like, "What? Now what?" And I would just flop around in the bed and
Well,
oh, it was brutal.
and you couldn't even go in bed and read a good book because the lights were supposed to be out.
Exactly. Well, at one point, I remember I took a flashlight under the blankets and I was reading because I got busted and I got in so much trouble. And I'm like, I am literally just reading to try to go to sleep. Come on,
Yeah.
guys,
Well, you know what?
take it easy.
I remember as we were getting a little older, like maybe high school, I remember we got to the point where my parents would go to bed and my brother and I could stay up and watch TV because they were like, we're tired, we're going to bed, you're on your own. So I was
And you're
like,
like,
yes.
sounds great. Yes. Awesome.
Yeah, it's fun.
Oh, wow. Well, this was a great conversation.
Yes.
A lot of fun.
Yes, I feel like you're
Um,
right. We can talk for hours about
we
all the
really could. Yeah. But
childhood.
But anyway, I hope you all found this interesting. And you know what? I haven't said this in a while, but there is a little link, the platform where it asks you something about join the conversation. Let us know about a funny childhood memory or something. We'd love to hear
Yeah.
it.
Yes,
Yeah.
that would be
We,
nice.
we need some good laughs these days. The world being what it is,
Yeah.
a good laugh is really great. So share with us some fun story that you have for us. But until next time, here's to good coffee, good vibes, and great conversations.
Cheers.
Cheers.